knowledge. It's oh, it's great. It's good.
We wait for Donna. Donna wants to be here, even though she's not standing. Right?
Oh, shit.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And have a way of respecting, honoring, and creating awareness about our past. We begin our village board meetings by acknowledging that New Paltz is on the ancestral land of the Muncie, Circles, and Lenape people. Please check out our agendas and our minutes and help us keep adding to our growing list of ways to actually support Indigenous communities.
Alex, I'm imagining you're gonna provide us with some announcements. I'll let you do that now.
Yeah, I have some, just some reminders. I saw our Ellenville Regional Project Rescue Friends actually at the Rosendale Street Fest this past weekend. And I was like, I'm gonna make that announcement again on Wednesday, that Narcan and other harm reduction services are available to anybody in our county. Thanks to Ellenville Regional's Project Rescue Program. You can text ERH Rescue to 21000. Or look them up online, and they'll ask you like what you need, like Narcan, other harm reduction supplies like test kits, snort kits, sex kits, and all of that. Narcan trainings are always available online on opioidprevention.np.org/Narcan-training. The instructions are on the screen. Just do the video and then fill out the form, and you'll get what you need. Free food fridge is available right outside Village Hall here at 25 Pottikill Ave for everybody. Don't be shy. Volunteers are still sorely needed for the summer. So head over to millionsofbutterflies.org and go to the free food fridge page or check out their social medias. And there's different ways you can sign up to be, a cleaner and, have more food than you can eat. Just label it and put it in the fridge and someone will eat it. And then should I share my updates that I got about consolidation questions from last meeting and announcements, or leave them for another time?
Let's do it as the first business agenda.
Cool. That's it for me.
Any other announcements from village board members?
Yeah, I have one, for high school graduates who are on their way to college for freshman year, the Patrick Julius Tobin Flusher Scholarship deadline is a week from today, July 31st. If you have any questions about it, we have first, second, and third prizes. It's an essay contest, and you can find information by going to Flusser Scholarship in Google as a Google search, and that's spelled FLUSSER Scholarship.
I have another quick one, actually. I want to remind people to take the bus to the fair, to the county fair, which is next week. UCAT's running, and I'll be at a bunch of tables, so come find me.
And I've got a couple too. Did you know that if you text home to 741-741 when you are feeling depressed, anxious, suicidal, a crisis worker will text you back immediately and continue to text with you? Many people don't like talking on the phone and would be more comfortable texting. It's a free service to anyone, teens, adults, anyone who lives in the US, and it's run by the crisis text line. Matter, reach out. Also, family of New Paltz, always here helping our neighbors. So if you can donate any amount, please do. The town of New Paltz Police Department is presenting a National Night Out. It's a free family fun event for all ages. And there's gonna be free barbecue and ice cream and bouncing house and music and face painting and cornhole and car seat safety checks, and try your luck at Duncan, a New Paltz Police Department member. And that will be Tuesday, August 6th from 5 to 9 p.m. at 59 North Putt Corners Road, where the New Paltz Police and Justice Center is. And lastly, I want to just say something really quickly. A story was published in Hudson Valley One on July 16th about parts of our joint village and town board meeting 2 weeks ago. While referring to community members speaking out during public comment, the writer referenced those coming out to defend Edgar Rodriguez and myself and others speaking out in defense of Deputy Mayor Alexandria Wojcik, as they had been alleged to be anti-Semitic. The writer stated in part, quote, none of those who offered these words of support asserted that they are Jewish, unquote. I didn't think I had to. I've spoken at this table in the past on this subject and stated that I am Jewish. This reporter has attended and or watched these meetings and reported on them. He did not reach out to ask if I'm Jewish. When I read the piece, I texted him and let him know that I was disappointed that he had not written anything in the piece about the work the mayor and I had reported out on during the same meetings, which I thought was relevant, as it was about working on a restorative justice healing circle for our community in regards to the protests and the arrests on May 2nd and everything that has happened since. Sorry, I lost my spot from my computer. I said that I would very much appreciate you updating the story. Note my being a Jew. He declined to update the story, so I feel the need to state publicly again that I am Jewish. And I believe my defense of Alex is important as a Jew. Standing up to note the weaponization of anti-Semitism is vital, as is calling out anti-Semitism and fighting it. When anti-Semitism is weaponized, it puts Jews at risk by distracting everyone from very dangerous actual anti-Semitism. My Jewish family taught me that I must use my voice to fight discrimination of all kinds, and that I must act and call things out in order to help heal our world. If I didn't, I could not live in this.
Thanks, Donna. Nothing else from our village board. I don't believe our county legislator is here to provide us with an update. Am I correct?
There's nothing on Zoom.
I
Okay.
believe she's running a service of some sort.
Okay. Any public comment from people who are here in person or on Zoom? I move to adopt the consent agenda. All in favor? Consolidation update. Alex, take it away.
All right. So at our last meeting, one of the questions that came up was kind of like what the Board of Elections timeline would potentially look at. So our Board of Elections Commissioner Ashley was really quick to offer some clarity. So if the referendum for consolidation winds up being on the general ballot in November 2025, or any, general election, it would in fact mean that early voting, absentee voting, affidavits, if somebody, isn't found in the book properly and stuff would come into play. So basically any referendum that's balloted on a general election ballot is given to the voters by all voting streams. So early voting, vote by mail, absentee, affidavit, and election day. So it would appear on the referendum side of the ballot and would be assigned placement based on if there were other referendums from the state or the county that are slotted before municipal level referendums. And then I asked her what the drop dead deadline might be for, a given November election. So the last day to get the required paperwork for referendum placement is at least 3 months before the general election. So in 2025, since the election day will be November 4th, the deadline for referendums will be August 4th, 2025. And so she provided me the quote from the state election law. I'm going to read. So for any election conducted by the Board of Elections, the clerk of such subdivision shall provide the Board of Elections with a certified text copy of any proposal, proposition, or referendum at least 3 months before the general election. So that's a pretty easy timeline for us to keep in mind.
Okay. Also along the lines of consolidation update, I can share that Supervisor Gatto and I had a conversation with Carl Ublocker from the Department of State yesterday. We're just going over some of the details regarding the process. And I can share publicly that our board intends to join the town board on August 8th to continue our public conversation.
August 1st.
August 1st. Thank you. August 1st in the town justice location at 7 p.m. And we're primarily going to be reviewing the IMA that we've circulated, as well as the contract with the town and village. Well, it's technically with the village. The IMA covers the town and the village so that we could move forward with our joint contract where we would be working with LaBerge as our consultant to help us form a reorg plan. Anything else from our board regarding consolidation?
No.
Okay, so drinking water and groundwater, that's the next topic on this business agenda. I used yesterday's water main break as an opportunity to include some details about what we've been doing over the past 10 years regarding our drinking water initiative. So I brought a prop here, and many people have visited my office and seen the the other props where, this is an example of a cast iron pipe with related material that has been created inside the pipe, and it's super heavy.
So heavy.
There we go.
Oh, nice
Isn't that
job.
pretty?
Excellent.
So we've had this tested, and we've actually taken other samples, not this one, but other samples that are similar, and shared it with the SUNY Malt's chemistry department, who have taken a look. And you can even go on the New York City DEP website, and they'll talk about why brown water occurs and what it means. It's generally considered cosmetic, and it's one of the reasons that we have been told why we have been less successful securing grant funding when we apply for replacement of old water mains within our conveyance system. We're generally more successful as a community when we apply for money to replace sewer mains, because we are under a consent order from the DEC, because we have issues when there are large rain events because of inflow and infiltration. We can have effluent come out of the maintenance hole covers at a few different locations downtown. And so that means that we're a higher score when it comes to our sewer grant applications as far as receiving an award. So the WIA program, and that stands for Water Infrastructure Improvement Act, and it's a New York State initiative. We apply every single time it's offered, and we just applied for the 7th time in June. We essentially resubmitted our 2023 application. The only time out of the 6 that have been awarded did we receive an award was in 2019. We received an award for $3 million. At that time, we believed the projects were valued at about 5.1, but we live in a completely different world post 2019, and projects cost a whole lot more than they did. So one of the challenges that we've been facing as a community is that we've actually had to borrow significantly over $1 million more than we ever anticipated just to realize the projects that were included in our grant application that was awarded in 2019. And we actually gave a haircut to that project too. There was one section of water main that we are not going to replace just because we were, trying to manage how much we had to borrow with how much we were receiving in terms of grant award. So our fingers are crossed that we receive an award for the application that we submitted this past June. We've actively tried to engage our community and done stuff like created Google Forms where we ask people to provide us with letters of support or comments that we can include in grant applications. We get letters of support from our elected officials in the federal government, like Patrick Ryan, and our state representatives like Sarah Hannah Sharesta and Michelle Hinchy. I just provided a sample linked to our agenda where Sarah Hannah's office provided us with a letter of support that is addressed to the governor's office. So if anyone in our community wants to send a letter of support send it straight up to the governor's office because our application has already been submitted, but we feel like the more bites at the apple, the better. And then this form, there is also a link to it within our agenda if anyone within the community wants to comment or provide support. And that we could share directly with the governor's office. And then I also just wanted to put some context, for the community in terms of how much we have been investing with local ratepayer funds towards our water project over the last 10 years. So if I just compare how much general fund debt we have, it's $2.4 million versus how much water fund debt that we have. So it's $7 million, just over $7 million in short-term debt and nearly $4 million in serial bonds. That's all going to water projects, all related to replacement of our water plant filtration system, the match that we needed for that 2019 WIA award, costs that were greater than we originally estimated in 2019, new water meters, as well as the finance charges, because we have been in agreement with the DEP and we're waiting for reimbursements for some water related projects. And anyone who has ever worked with the New York City DEP knows that you have to be incredibly patient, to put it politely, before you ever receive a reimbursement from New York City. So, and then also just in terms of context, I included a detail that we have $0 of sewer fund debt. So one of the things that's water related, in addition to brown water, that keeps me up at night has to do with the proposed DEP shutdowns. So the timeline is constantly changing. I think the next time they anticipate having an extended shutdown where New Paltz might have to rely on newer water sources while the Catskill Aqueduct is offline, might not happen until fall of 2026, I believe. But what I have learned in this job, and this is all related to our brown water challenges, is that anytime our conveyance system is having to digest unexpected challenges, like last week we had a power outage, which ended up dewatering our clear well at our water treatment plant. So our staff was scrambling to sort that out. So our community was then sourcing all of its water from the Cherry Hill tanks. So that meant that the regular path that the water would normally follow was interrupted. So what that does is that stirs up these pipes that are used to perhaps just going in one direction, so you don't have brown water. And then when they have to go in a direction that they're not used to, that's generally why you have brown water. In addition to that, so when you have situations where the conveyance system is facing disruptions, you can end up with air bubbles or pockets within the conveyance system. And our staff believes that once those are created, sometimes they do not get realized within the conveyance system for a week or two. And we have seen that many times in the past where there's a disruption, there's some sort of like challenge regarding service, maybe it's a water main break, maybe it's an issue with something mechanical, and then a week or two later, there's another water main break. And that's exactly what happened yesterday, where there was a significant water main break on South Chestnut Street, New York State Route 208. And what was frustrating and challenging about that situation is that main is actually a 12-inch main, and it is from 1968. So it is not incredibly old compared to the 6-inch main that we'll be replacing with some of that WIA money that I was talking about earlier. So that WIA money replacement project goes from South Side all the way north to Sunset Ridge. So the water main break that occurred yesterday did not even occur on within a water main that we are particularly nervous about. So, what I did was I included a note in this agenda that I had shared with the town supervisor and the DEP back from 2021. My concerns continue to exist about anytime you do something different within our conveyance system. Our community is likely to deal with A, brown water, and B, service interruptions that might be related to water main breaks. And we have had a challenging relationship with the DEP for some time. We got a response letter from them in September of 2023. For the sake of transparency, I have included it here. If anyone wants to see it, there's a link, and for all intents and purposes, the response was, well, the DEP cannot be responsible for your local problems. And I find that to be a difficult response, considering that we have tried to work with them, and I credit them for trying to work with us, but to accommodate their shutdowns that will be needed so they can do repair work to the Catskill Aqueduct. This has been like a very challenging process to figure out, and it's an ongoing challenge that I'm not optimistic that we're going to figure out exactly what to do and how to handle it in the near term. So the other response that we received is what the town and the village need to do when the Plains Road well eventually comes online, is that we need a easy to follow and understand SOP so that our systems will integrate correctly. And that's great. I think that's a perfectly valuable document and process that we should identify. But what I have also been asking for is that if we're going to use the Plains Road well, that should be tested well in advance of any extended shutdown, because what I'm fearful of is that we're going to shut off the water that comes down the hill from Mountain Rest Road, and then we're going to say, hey, conveyance system, now you're getting water from a different part of town, and it's going to flow into your system and stir up tuberculated material and create more brown water. And then that will get addressed. Maybe it'll create some water main breaks, some pressure spikes, and then it'll sort itself out, and the work will get done on the Catskill Aqueduct, and then we'll have to dial back the water that would be flowing from the Plains Road well into our conveyance system, and then return to using the water up on Mountain Rest Road. So again, our conveyance system, like, what the heck are you doing now? You're storing water up in a totally new way again. Another, who knows how many days of more brown water. This is what I think we will unfortunately expect during these shutdowns. And I'm a huge believer that the only thing that our temperamental conveyance system can manage is a very dependable path where water flows on a regular basis in a regular direction, not where we're turning things on, turning them off, because what we witness on a regular basis is that when we do that, that's how you end up with tuberculated water within our system. And additionally, the response that we have received when we've brought this up to the folks at the DEP, as well as the previous town supervisor, is that everything has been designed in a way that would involve conventional levels of pressure. And I think that's fantastic. However, what we have is an unconventional old system with tuberculated material inside. So, if we were anticipating everything to happen in a vacuum or in a laboratory, then those standards regarding pressure could probably be very well, depended on, but I don't think that's how I would describe our reality here in New Paltz. Any questions on my monologue?
That was really good.
Quite thorough, thank you. Just a quick question, the water main that broke, on 68, what material was that made of? It
Cast iron.
was cast iron? Yeah.
Yeah, so everyone got an extra dose of iron.
What's part of it?
Everyone got an extra dose of iron, you know? Yeah, you know, it's definitely like troubling how like the DEP kind of thinks of this in like a vacuum, right? You know, like we don't have perfect pipes, so your system isn't gonna, your system switching up the pressure is not gonna work. I don't know. Really good explanation. Thanks for all of that.
Yeah, and it was, it's for our board and for the folks here, but I thought it was also really an opportunity to re-explain to the community why we have these frustrating situations regarding groundwater. And I'm not terribly optimistic that we're gonna wave magic wands and get grant money and fix these pipes in the near term. This is a multi-year process. And it's our reality. Also related to water is that we received a notice of violation regarding our water withdrawal permit. So part of our water initiative has involved drilling and testing 6 groundwater wells, 4 up next to the water treatment plant property off of Mountain Rest Road, 2 of them in Memorial Pool Park. So, that was also an exercise in patience and fortitude, and we sought a updated permit from the DEC so that we could use that water. And what they did was they used it as an opportunity to look at our system holistically and included our Catskill Aqueduct as a source, where we buy water from the DEP, the 4 reservoirs that are up at Mountain Rest Road, as well as these 6 wells. And then they looked at it as one giant permit. But what they did when they issued this permit last year is they put barriers on how much water we could source from the 4 reservoirs. And it's a curious response because like what we were looking to do is simply get permission from the DEC to use these wells. We were not looking for them to reimagine our reservoirs that we have used since the late 1800s. So the idea that we're now going to be curbed and told how much we can take from these reservoirs that we've been using for over 100 years will actually handcuff us and require us to buy more expensive DEP water, which we do not want to do, and the DEP does not want us to do. So it's a very curious permit constraint. And also in the notice of violation, they said that we have to provide them with details about how much water we are removing from these reservoirs that we've used for over 100 years. And we don't have any meters, any monitoring equipment whatsoever. The way that we keep track of water that is used is that we buy historically 60% of our water from the Catskill Aqueduct, and then depending on rain flow or snow melt, approximately 40% are sourced from those 4 reservoirs. And we're super excited about getting these groundwater wells online to bump that average above 40%. That construction project is being done as we speak. We're anticipating that those 4 wells up at the treatment plant property will be connected to our treatment plant this year. The other 2 wells that are in the village in Memorial Pool Park, that's co-owned by the town and the village, we don't have any money. So we have not been able to pursue getting those wells online until some angel comes by and hands us some money so that we could, pay a contractor to connect those wells to our system. So we're patiently waiting for that angel. So I just wanted to share a draft letter, a response letter to the Bureau of Water Compliance to respond to our notice of violation. I move that we send this response letter.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And then the other water related topic is our treasurer, and this also relates to the fact that we have $10 million in total short-term and long-term water debt. What keeps Nancy up at night is all that debt service. And it's also interesting too, just thinking about how much capital projects cost now. And we had not raised water rates. We raised water rates in 2022 for the first time since 2012. We are proposing to raise water rates again now effective September 1st. So I have a memo explaining how much that will actually impact. It's generally about just over 7 cents per person per day of an increase. I move that we increase the water rates per the rate schedules that are included in this agenda for both water and sewer. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Jumping to our affordable housing law amendment. So our board agreed to moving forward with that change to our affordable housing law. So the way our affordable housing law has worked for some time is that for apartment complexes with 10 or more units, 10% of the units have to be affordable. We have been working on a law that would mean any apartment complex with 20 or more units, they would need to have 15% affordable. So our board agreed to that update to our affordable housing law. In terms of the housekeeping process, I move that we declare the village as lead agency and for this to be an unlisted action. It could be a type 1 or an unlisted action, but I'm proposing that we take on the role of lead agency and declare this an unlisted action.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And then we're also, just to do all the I dotting, referring this draft law to both the village planning board and the county planning board, because those actions have not been done previously. So we just want to make sure that that process is being done, and we're making sure that moving forward that all of our staff is empowered with that checklist to make sure that these items are handled. And regarding sewer, so we were awarded $50,000 from New York State Environmental Facilities Corp to do some planning work at our wastewater treatment plant here on Huguenot Street. What we're trying to do is to investigate what type of technology we might want to consider in terms of how to process the sanitary waste down there, as well as, could we feed two birds with one stone by updating the process, but then also making the plant more flood resilient. It could include a plant design where the mechanicals are higher than they currently are. So we have a few resolutions all related to this. So we basically have to publish an RFQ seeking a engineer to help us on this project. Then we also have to commit to a local match, and there's a resolution saying that we're committed to that dollar amount. It's a percentage of the it's 20%. Okay, great, you found it. And then just also in terms of the administration, just that designated an authorized representative from the village to manage this process. So all in favor of moving those three resolutions?
Well, I'll second it.
Your second, that's my motion. Alex seconded it. Any further discussion, questions? All in favor, aye. And then our application that we are finalizing preparation to get community development block grant money for the updating of a replacement of sewer mains. So that requires some monitoring to make sure that nothing historical is or archaeologically significant is disrupted. So we have a plan that requires the mayor's signature and just a description of the other piece related to showing that the village has committed to finding consultants to do this work and to make sure that this work is done if we do receive the award, when we anticipate that it'll be announced later this year. Someone want to second that motion? All in favor? And then I've just put a line through this next item just because we've had it, just kept it there as a placeholder, but just put a line through it just to communicate that I think our board had reviewed this easement regarding the pump station on 32 North Chestnut Street, and then we just needed some finalized details reviewed by our attorney and staff. That was all done this week, so that was relayed to the developers and their attorney. So no action there. And then I have a draft letter of support. The County Department of Environment is looking to apply to the DEC for municipal separate or MS4 mapping grant. Just wanted to share that with everyone. I move that we send that letter.
Second.
All in favor? I move.
Oh, wait, can I just,
Yep.
because you were about to say it, the whole thing, but we always just say MS4, but I think it's interesting because it's like literally 4 S's, so municipal separate storm sewer system. May as well say it once, sorry.
Perfect. Thank you. I move bills and claims.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any PB liaison update?
The planning board met last week. Discussion was held about 11 Water Street, the hotel there. They decided not to build a restaurant within the hotel complex, so it went to the ZBA, it was approved. So now it's back to the planning board for final approval. The old Wells Fargo building was discussed. There seems to be a lot of difficulty in coming up with a parking plan and a traffic flow plan, so that's going to be back to the planning board shortly. And then there was the review of the New Paltz Apartments final environmental impact study. That draft is still being reviewed by the planning board. There was a great deal of interest in the public comment portion of the meeting, people expressing interest in exactly what the housing project is.
Great. The ZBA did not meet, so my update from the ZBA is that there is no update, and I'm looking for the official reason to go into executive session. No, but Bill Campbell's here, so I gotta like get a really solid internet defensible personnel matters, delicate personnel matters like employee performance evaluations, disciplinary actions, hiring and firing decisions, sensitive HR issues are typically discussed in executive session to maintain employee privacy and ensure fair treatment. That's my motion to go into executive. Well, this is what is discussed during an executive session. I'm just using the official reason to go into executive discussion
The
related.
idea is to do it with some specificity. You can say the employment history of a particular person, appointment of particular people. But it can't be
Appointment of, well,
recite.
it's
Reciting it,
it's related to compensation for particular staff.
how, you have ETA.
We're gonna discuss it. What? Oh, when will we,
Estimated time of return.
like a couple of minutes.
Yeah, that would be the easy part. No, you're well, ETA was the estimated time of return.
Okay.
Okay, we're live again?
Yep.
You got the mic?
Yeah. Should be back on.
I move that all appointed salary positions in the treasurer's office be changed to a 40-hour work week versus the current 37.5 hours. This would include the treasurer, deputy treasurer, and the deputy village clerk. Deputy treasurer salary would increase to $65,228.80 versus the current salary of $61,153.39. So it's a $4,075.41 increase. Deputy clerk salary would increase to $56,180.80 versus the current salary of $52,665.60, an increase of $3,515.20. Treasurer, no salary adjustment. Someone I know.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Um,
Yeah.